It's the Brad and John Show.
It's the Brad and John Show. Today's date is July 9th. It is a Wednesday. This is the C-Lock to Charlie Brock, which means we started right around 7:40 or so, 7:44. We're a little bit late this morning. John, I'm going to read you something pretty funny. This is hot off the text from Info Dude Mike Otten. You ready for this one, John?
I'm ready.
Listening to the radio this morning in Fenton, listening to a religious rhythmic chant. I wonder who that's by, KFUO. They stopped, and with perfect timing, you came through clearly and said, that was the voice of John Combest.
It's pretty terrific. Thank you, Mike Otten, for that. And Brad, I mentioned before what I love was over the weekend, I think it was maybe last Friday, I don't remember the specific date, but when we were dealing with the KFUO interference on a particular stretch in West St. Louis County, they were talking about, just the hand of God. And then Brad Hildebrand comes on with an actual message from the God Squad. And I was like, there we go. They work in perfect harmony.
Once again, I will say, pray for Gary Duncan. And a new one, pray for Lauren Flick. Pray for Lauren Flick, who perjured herself with the Federal Communications.
You mean of counsel?
Of counsel. Lauren Flick perjured herself with a filing with the FCC, as well as Gary Duncan perjured himself with a filing with the FCC because of the fact that they lied in a filing to the Federal Communications Commission. And the smartest woman in the world knows about this whole story, and she gave me all the federal regulations, the chapters of which they could be charged with. But of course, nothing will happen, and they'll get their license. The FCC will say, Brad, you know what? TSS. You know what TSS is, don't you?
Yeah, tough shoot.
Yeah, there you go. Sherlock, whatever.
Yeah, and so actually, as a shout out to Mike Otten, Mike, if you look closely at your radio display, right now it says, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, Gutter Duck.
You know what, John? I'm going to change that just for you. Wait till you see what I put up there. I'm going to change.
I can't wait to see it.
I'm going to change that just for you. Well, you don't know what we're talking about. We have this deal with the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, who I've been dealing with for a couple years, who, let me put it this way. I'm going to put it nicely. Their anal cranium, does that make sense? Anal cranium.
Oh. That's a good comment. I've never heard anal cranium before.
Right. So in other words,
how about gluteal? Because anal is more of an orifice base.
Okay.
Why don't we say gluteal cranium?
They're gluteus maximum craniums. How's that?
That's good. Yeah.
Is that even better? Because once again, in my filing with the FCC, when I'm complaining about what they're doing, I put Bible verses into my FCC filing. And what's so funny about this is there's a bunch of engineers around the country who read these on a daily basis. You can go, matter of fact, if you want to go, I can tell you, if you want to be super nerd, you can go to FCCdata. It's not anything officially from the government. It's a guy who's done this. Actually, it's a group of people called REC, and they've done this for decades. And what they do is they take the data stream from the FCC and they essentially put it into a website. And it's really cool. It updates like every 30 minutes. You can see all the different filings. Anyway, there's nerd boys, and I'm one of them now, who look at this daily. And matter of fact, there's another new radio station coming on in St. Louis. The people at KDHX are going to have competition from a nationally syndicated black radio group, which is putting up a new station on, I believe, on 94.1, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, there's these filings that come across that you can read the filings. And when I did my filing, I had not one, not two, but three of these engineers who read this on a daily basis. All three of them calling me to say they've never seen Bible verses quoted in FCC official filing. But so leave it to Brad, right? Leave it to Brad. Got to put those Bible verses. Because the whole point of this is what drives me nuts about people in religion, okay? They sit in their church, they listen to the preacher, and they think, oh, yes. And then they walk out in the parking lot, and if somebody's parked too close, hey, you butthead, you parked close to my car. Get what I'm saying, John?
I also heard that they speed on roadways. And I've also heard that when they stay at large hotels for conventions, they order alcohol to their room.
John, what's the running joke in St. Louis about a particular bumper sticker and the people that have that on their car? What kind of drivers are they? Do you know this joke?
Joy 99.1 drivers, if they have them on the back of their Hyundai Odyssey, they're 97.1% more likely to cut you off.
Yes, exactly. They drive like crazy nuts.
Well, they need to get to church, Brad. They need to atone.
Well, yeah, it's like I told the classic story of my old friend, who I won't mention her name because I'll embarrass her if she's still around, who passed me on the highway doing 120 miles an hour one morning, and I caught her, and I said, of course, this was a very religious person, ran a radio station in the old days, WCBW, where Sandy Brown worked at, where now and they sold the station. Some Jewish guys owned the station, they sold it, and they were upset, and that's how 99.1.
Some Jewish guys.
Yeah, it was two Jewish brothers owned. See, that was.
And what happened, Brad?
Well, they got upset, and they ultimately...
No, I'm asking what happened to your friend. You interrupted your own story.
She drove by me at 120 miles. Keep in mind, a couple weeks previously, she chastised me because I wasn't a good Christian. And a good Christian not only obeys the laws of God, but the laws of man. Okay, this is what she said to me. She said I was a scofflaw or something. I don't know. She was cutting me down. I'm going like, okay, I'm not like that kind of a guy. Yeah, maybe every once in a while I'll jaywalk in Clayton or something like that. But besides that, I'm pretty much, Shelley used to kid about the fact that I don't drive fast. I drive typically speed limit +5. That's pretty much it. I actually stop at stop signs. Full stop at stop signs. That's me. Okay. So she passes me at 120 miles an hour. And the reason I knew it was her because the radio station was WCBW and her license plate was WCBW-GM. She was general manager. And I had a meeting with her about a month afterwards. I go, hey, Linda. Oh, I said her name. Linda, is that your car there in the parking lot, WCBW-GM? Oh, yeah, that's my car. I go, about a month ago, I was going north on 55 right by the brewery, and that car passed me probably doing 120 miles an hour, and I'm not exaggerating. And I go, that couldn't have been you because you've told me you don't ever break man's laws. And she gets a little bit embarrassed, and she goes, yeah, that was me. I go, where were you going? I was late for the mayor's prayer breakfast. That's exactly what she told me. Thinking to myself,
rest in peace to Linda Tiernan.
Yes, she's late for the mayor's prayer breakfast. Okay, so she's got to do 120 miles an hour down 55 because she can't be late to the mayor's prayer breakfast. Can't have that happen. Okay, John, sometimes you and I, as regular old tax-paying citizens, we see things that we think, okay, why did they do that to begin with? The point in the classic point in contention here is Metrolink. Have you seen this article about how Metrolink ridership is up? And you know why?
No. Oh, is it because they don't have any more, or is it because they added some gates on a couple stops?
Yes. So you can't.
Is that really why?
Yes. So you can't just run onto the, because all the gangbangers and stuff like that. Do you think they're putting their money in the machine and grabbing one of those tickets?
Of course they're not.
Yes, of course not. They're not doing that. They're just jumping on the train. And
now who brought us this story? Is this in the Post?
Yeah, it's in the Post, and it's also, I think it's on a couple of the TV stations as well too. And I heard Mark Cox talking about it this morning. And the amazing thing about this is, it's like, remember when they first came out with Metrolink and they said, if you've ever ridden the subway system, like in any major city, like especially New York, you had the turnstiles. You can't get through unless you go through the turnstiles. They have what they call the jumpers, people that literally jump over the turnstiles. You're not going to stop that no matter what. But the idea was, in St. Louis, we're going to use the honor system, and you're going to go buy your ticket, and you're going to go get on the train, and then occasionally we'll have a security person who will walk the train and ask you to see your ticket. Well, guess what? That didn't work real well. And most of us said, that's a pretty stupid idea. That would be like saying, hey, at Schnucks, we're not going to have cash registers anymore. What we're going to do is you can fill up your cart, and as you leave, just put the appropriate amount of money in a little bin.
Yeah, tell us how much you owe us. Right,
a bin by the door. If those 3 T-bone steaks you say are worth $1 a piece, $3 would be just fine. You know what I mean?
Now, I'm guessing, Brad, that the Metrolink folks, whenever they announced, because I remember the news a few weeks ago, or maybe it was months ago, I'm guessing, is their point here, hey, we're making progress, ridership is up, it's so safe, people are feeling more confident about taking Metrolink now?
I think that's what it is. I think this is, as John being the ex, would you get upset if I call you a flack?
Oh, please do. I like that, yeah.
The PR flax. Where did that term come from anyway? Was that like literally?
I don't have any idea. I do think, I don't mean to interrupt, Brad, but if I'm at Metrolink and I know that we're rolling out increased gates, like or increased security or whatever, as part of our timeline, we say, okay, we're going to prep people in January. We're going to announce it officially in March. We're going to set them up in May. And then first week of July, we have to manufacture some kind of data that shows, quote unquote, proves that ridership is up. We got to have quotes from concerned citizens that say, I was skeptical that this would ever work, but I need to give credit to Metrolink leadership because they've really clamped down on illegal ridership. So this is part of it. And there'll be another data set that comes out, I'm sure, in 3 months that further solidifies their point.
John, are you saying they're cooking the books? Is that what you're saying, John?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is all pre-baked. You pre-bake it as you're rolling out, and you manufacture fake stats to prove that you're right at certain points down the road.
In case you're a new listener to the show, the BJ Show, that is John Combest, who used to work for a number of years as a high profile for a Fortune 100 company.
Low profile, Brad. Low profile.
You work for a high profile company, which still is too high profile company because they're always in the news. Worked for a very high profile company called Monsanto, and he was an excellent public relations. Was that what your term or what was your official title?
Yeah, whatever, PR, whatever, communication, sure.
Communications.
And thank you for that compliment.
He was a comms guy. Okay, so whenever I bring these things up, John, I have to tell you, what you do is so funny to me because you are doing exactly what most people don't realize they're getting their leg pulled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Well, but I think it's important I think it's important for people to see. And Brad, you're a big fan of the word stakeholder, right?
I hate that word.
You love stakeholders.
I hate it.
So when you roll out any sort of a plan or an announcement, you set up these milestones where you're able to point to quote unquote news and quote unquote data and be like, see, look, we were right. We told you 3 months ago that product X was going to be a booming success, and it exceeded everyone's expectation. And you have that press release, you have the outline of that written and approved 6 months before you approve it because you know whatever numbers you're going to come out with.
John, but this is Brad you're talking to, okay? I can tell you how to cut down on crime on Metrolink, okay?
Oh yeah, how's that?
Once now that you go through the turnstiles, then there's a counter with guns sitting there, and it says, okay, take a gun and be safe on Metrolink. So you grab
yourself.
You grab a gun, you sit in your seat, and then when you get to the end of the ride, before you get off go back through the turnstiles, you return the gun to another table, and you're safe. What's crazy about it is
that makes perfect sense. And that way, if someone steps on your Hoka
right.
or your Skechers shoes, then you can just settle the score. And be on your way.
Can say, "Hey, buddy, I got a 45 right here. You stepped on my foot." No, I have no problem with riding Metrolink. I mean, if to the point where if you say, Brad, I bet you, I'll go down and ride Metrolink today just to say, hey, I rode Metrolink. When my kids were younger, that was one of our favorite things to do.
Where would you park, Brad? What was your favorite hidden stop?
Umsel South. John's making
fun
of
me.
There you
go.
Umsel South. We'd get on Metrolink. And remember, I called my oldest son one day. We talked about this. We'd do the Metrolink.
Have you ever been on a train where there were a number of people going to Guns and Hoses?
I won't tell that story again. But we would do what we call Metrolink surfing, where we would stand. There was once, if you know where the cars, they joined together and they had like this little turntable thing. And we would stand on that thing and we would purposely try to stand as the trains accelerated, decelerated, and turned corners because you had to use your sense of balance. And my one son was real good at it. He was really good at it. But to this day, when I ride Metrolink, I have no problem at all with Metrolink.
Do you know why you're safe on Metrolink, Brad? Jokes aside.
Because you know what's sort of interesting about this?
What's that?
I've been told I look like a cop. Have you ever heard this story before?
Oh wow! No, I wouldn't have thought that before because you're a white man riding Metrolink.
Well, this is sort of weird, but I've been told through the years, maybe as I get older, not as much, but I've been told through the years that I look like a police officer. And I'm going like, okay, what does a police officer look like? And the interesting thing about that is there was a point in time when I didn't have a beard. And if you had a beard, you could not be a police officer. But in most departments, they've changed that. If you notice, there's a lot of cops with beards. Matter of fact, if you see the picture of the Karen trial up there in New York, up in Boston, what was her name? Karen Reed, allegedly, now she found not guilty.
Yeah, let's not interrupt your own story. Get to it, Brad. See a lot of times you'll see people with beards. I think the point is that you also, when you were clean shaven, Brad, you generally have very good posture. I mean, before you were old and hunched over, I'm sure you had good posture. You still have good posture. So people probably assume that with your deportment, you are a cop.
John, I will tell you a funny story. Once upon a time, I won an auction for a town and country police car. I bought it. A friend of mine was buying police cars. Oh, you got to buy these police cars. It's a great deal. And I did. I entered the auction for a town and country police car. This particular car was a captain's car, which had never been marked. So it didn't have, like, even though they take the decals off, a lot of times you still see the stickum on there and the whole bit. And it didn't have the light bar, but it did have the floodlight or the spotlight on the driver's side,
yeah, I know
pillar.
What you mean.
Okay. So back in the day, a lot of times I would dress up in my suit, and I would have my suit coat on. But if I didn't have my suit coat on, I would just have my pants with my suspenders, and I would have my tie on and stuff like that. I went to a 7-Eleven one time. I won't tell you where. And I didn't even think about this. I pulled up in front of the 7-Eleven, and everybody ran away because they thought I was a cop.
They thought that the narcs were finally here to bust that operation.
I pulled up in a Crown Vic, that had a spotlight on it, and I get out, and I'm a clean-shaven dude with suspenders and a tie and dress pants, and they go, "Oh my God, he's going to arrest us!" But I didn't. So that's the whole story, John. I'm sticking to it, and I wouldn't deviate from that story. I wouldn't tell a lie, right, John?
I think that people see you on Metrolink, and they assume if a man this age is riding Metrolink, he is a certified lunatic, and he's probably carrying, and we are not going to mess with him.
John,
and I think that's why people don't mess with you on Metrolink.
You've typified me to the T. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Brad.
Say goodbye, John.
See you tomorrow, Brad.